Welcome to your Ethereum News Roundup. Here's your latest for Monday, January 22nd, 2024. Nethermind issues a mandatory Hotfix client release. Pimlico launches Stateful bundle compression. Axiom deploys its V2 on Mainnet. And Offchain Labs discusses security considerations for chain clusters. All this and more starts right after this message. This episode is sponsored by Harpy, an on-chain security solution for Ethereum-based wallets. Harpy helps you detect and prevent malicious transactions before they execute, safeguarding your assets from theft in real time. Secure your wallet for free at harpy.io/ETHdaily. Nethermind, a minority Ethereum execution layer client, encountered a bug on its client versions 1.23 through 1.25, affecting consensus. The bug led to validators going offline, resulting in missed blocks and attestations. As a short-term solution, impacted validators were initially advised to either switch clients or use Rescue Node. In response, Nethermind promptly issued a patch release within 4 hours of the first bad block caused by the bug. Ethereum node operators using vulnerable Nethermind client versions are required to upgrade to version 1.25.2. Versions earlier than version 1.22 remain unaffected. The dominance of Geth, which is currently a supermajority execution client, has surged to an estimated 84%. Pimlico implemented stateful bundle compression on its ERC-4337 bundlers. The implementation allows developers to reduce the data size of their smart contracts, leading to a savings of up to 80% in gas fees for user operations carried out on rollups. Pimlico aims to address the high gas fees linked to smart account transactions compared to EOA transactions. Pimlico also released a new version of its permissionless JS TypeScript library with support for the new compression feature. Pimlico is an account abstraction infrastructure provider offering ERC-20 Paymaster and ERC-4337 bundler services. A bundler refers to a system that batches user operations for block inclusion, enabling account abstraction for smart accounts. Axiom launched the second iteration of its protocol that facilitates access to and computation of historical Ethereum state data. The V2 release expands support for transactions, receipts, and solidity mappings in addition to previously accessible data types such as account details, contract storage, and block headers. Smart contracts can now compute or query on a range of historical data, including past transactions, account states at various times, and historical event logs. Developers can use historical data to analyze asset performance over time or implement DAO vote weight based on past participation. By using zero-knowledge proofs for verification, Axiom aims to reduce costs for data access. Coinbase published a comment letter to the U.S. Treasury in response to a proposed rule by FinCEN that would require financial institutions to report all transactions involving cryptocurrency mixing. Coinbase argues that the proposed rule would lead to the bulk reporting of data, including non-suspicious transactions. Coinbase says there is no regulatory gap or need for the new rule, but if it is required, it should at least have a minimum dollar threshold, be only a record-keeping requirement, and should provide institutions with ample time to implement the new requirements. The rule was first proposed by FinCEN last October. And lastly, Offchain Labs is working on its design of chain clusters, which is a network of Layer 2 or Layer 3 chains that enable trustless and fast cross-chain communication. The design could enable cross-chain token transfers between Layer 2s and Layer 3s in the cluster. Chains in a cluster would need to have joint settlement and joint governance. The security of any chain in a cluster would also only be as strong as the weakest chain, since failures would propagate across all chains. Offchain Labs plans to release additional writings on chain clusters in the coming months. In other news, Starknet releases Cairo version 2.5.0, ZK P2P supports Rupee to USDC swaps, and Tornado Cash developers seek donations for their legal case. This has been a roundup of today's top news stories in Ethereum. You can support this podcast by subscribing on Castbox and following us on X at ETHdaily. Also subscribe to our newsletter at ethdaily.io. Thanks for listening. We'll see you tomorrow.